What's up, everybody? It's Three Wheel Khalil, and a few weeks back on my trip to Vegas, I had a question answered for me, and that was whether or not it's worth it to rent a Can-Am Ryker Spyder when you're on vacation. Now, I wasn't technically on vacation, but rather a business trip, but either way, in the evenings, I still had a little bit of time to take the bike out and enjoy myself. So, in this video, I wanted to take you guys down the Sunset Strip on this beautiful Can-Am Spyder F3 Limited and give you a little bit about my opinions on renting a Can-Am on-road vehicle when you're on vacation, out of town, and kind of tell you a little bit about my experience riding a Can-Am that I didn't know in a city that I wasn't too familiar with. Anyway, stick with me. So if you're familiar with Las Vegas, you'll probably realize that this is the MGM Grand Hotel, the back parking lot. So I'm hopping out of there just to hop onto the Sunset Strip and go for a evening drive on this Can-Am Spyder. And the funny part is that this is the first time that I have ever ridden down the Sunset Strip in anything. Not a car, not a Spyder, nothing. So it actually took me a little bit to realize that during this drive that I had never personally gone down the strip, even though I had been down and stayed in the same hotel a few times on business. But I just normally leave the town that I work in during the day, come back to the hotel, rest up, find some food and rest up for the night. But I had never actually taken that full trek all the way down the Sunset Strip. And tonight, because I was blessed to be riding a Can-Am Spyder F3 Limited, I said, why not actually take it all in and go down the Sunset Strip and see what it's like. So I'm super excited to share that view with you guys, and hopefully you can feel a little bit of the sensory overload that I was feeling riding down the Sunset Strip. So for me, one of the most important things about renting a Can-Am Spyder, Can-Am Ryker, is being familiar riding in general. You don't want to go somewhere new completely and then also be trying to learn how to ride at the same time. Now, whether you're coming from a Ryker and renting a Spyder, that could be a little bit daunting, but I think as long as you understand how to shift, the basics of shifting, you should be fine. It should be something that you can pick up within a little bit of time. Whereas Spyder to Ryker probably shouldn't be much of a transition at all. But I would say if you're coming from two wheels and going to ride a Ryker, I probably wouldn't do that, a Ryker or a Spyder, probably wouldn't do that in a very populated area like Las Vegas, like New York, or like LA or something. That wouldn't be my first choices to tell you to try that out on some busy city streets. Now, if you're somewhere where it's a little bit calmer and cooler and you have the opportunity to rent a Ryker in like Hawaii on a quiet street or something, hey, maybe it'd be worth trying that out. But I do think that learning how to ride one of these can be not difficult at all, but it is definitely a change of pace from riding two wheels, as I touched in my earlier video. I can link to that up in the top corner here. But it's a little bit of a change of pace, and you don't want to be learning stuff like, hey, that you don't have handbrakes in an emergency situation. You want to be familiar with that stuff, especially because you're in somewhere that you don't know, and not everything is going to be, muscle memory to you. So I would say be at least familiar with riding one of these before you pick one up in a brand new city and just decide that this is going to be your primary mode of transportation. This next one can tie into the first one a little bit, and it's to rent from a reputable agency. Now, a lot of people rent Rykers, Spyders, Slingshots just individually and through little kind of Facebook ads and little web pages and Instagram pages and all that good stuff. And a lot of those agencies don't have the proper insurance. They don't take the proper precautions when checking to make sure that people are licensed for the vehicles that they're renting. They don't make sure that you have the proper safety equipment. It's really usually just, hey, do you want this little fun toy? Do you want this status symbol in a city that values that, like a Miami? And it really is not the most advisable thing to go to somewhere like Miami and rent a clapped out Ryker that is just been rented out hundreds of times with very minimal upkeep done on that fleet of vehicles, and you're getting that and you're trusting your life with it. So I would say, man, if you're going somewhere and you want to rent a motorcycle, rent from an established motorcycle rental agency. Don't just go on Facebook Marketplace and pay $200 to rent a Spyder for the weekend. I personally think that's where you could land yourself in some hot water. And it ties back to the first one, because if you're not licensed to ride one of these, don't go rent one and just chance it, man. That's your life that's on the line, and it just really doesn't make that much sense. So it goes back to that first thing, that don't go out there and try and learn how to ride a motorcycle when you really just don't have any business doing that in this type of a setting. Go take a class, learn, enjoy, and then from there, you can put yourself in a position where you can go to somewhere and rent a motorcycle and enjoy it. Next on my list would be to really consider the place that you are renting a Ryker or a Spyder. And by that I mean the locale. Like, are you renting in Miami? Are you renting in Las Vegas? Are you renting in Albuquerque, New Mexico? That really can play a factor in whether or not it's worth it. Maybe in a few years when things return back to semi-normal, I'm not sure if I would tell someone that I think that Las Vegas is the perfect place to rent a motorcycle. But during this time when the traffic was a little bit slowed, as you can tell, not totally slowed, but that the roads were a little bit smoother to travel, and you could really kind of enjoy a Spyder on these roads and take in the sights and just have a nice leisurely cruise on a Spyder or Ryker, I'd say, yeah, definitely try it out in Las Vegas. But at a different time, I might say, hey, I don't think that would be the most fun in the world unless you're planning to do different things, like go out to Red Rock Canyon or drive out to the Hoover Dam or something like that. Then I would say, of course, I think it'll always be a good place to ride a Can-Am Ryker or Spyder. But those are things to keep in mind. Not all places are, going to be the most fun to ride a Ryker or Spyder. I could see a lot of places in New York not being the most fun to ride a Ryker or Spyder unless you're getting a little bit further out outside of the city. Now, also, weather can play a factor into that. Like, if I was going to Seattle, I think I would love to ride a Can-Am on-road vehicle out there. But if I'm only there for a weekend, I would really check the weather and make sure that I would have the opportunity to ride it a decent bit before I go and shell out a couple $100 just to sit it down, because I'd be wet the whole time. So just think about those things, really take in mind the locale and what you're planning to explore with that vehicle. As you can tell, it's a beautiful exploration tool down here in Las Vegas. The next thing is to choose the right vehicle for the job. For me, Can-Am gave me the opportunity to choose between a Can-Am Spyder F3 Limited or a Ryker 900 like I normally ride. Well, I ride a Ryker Rally, but same. The choice for me was dictated by that I was going to be riding it to work a couple days, and the extra storage I thought would be really cool to try out, and I'm definitely happy I did. That F3 Limited, just the storage on this bike is nuts, and it was really useful when I'm driving 45 minutes for a work commute. However, if I was in, let's say, again, my example, Hawaii, I'd definitely take a Ryker every day of the week. However, again, the flip side, if I'm with my wife, maybe I want the F3T where we could store a little bit on the bike and it would be a comfortable ride for both of us. Those are the things that you want to keep in mind. What is the job that you're going to be performing with the bike on your vacation? Is it just you zipping around from place to place? Then you might want to just grab a Ryker. If it's you and a significant other and some gear and you're really planning to travel a decent distance, maybe you might want to think about renting a Spyder. But in general, just kind of consider what you're planning to do with the vehicle that you're renting, which is probably common knowledge to you, but it's still worth thinking about when you get into that rental agency and you're about to put your name on the dotted line. If you've made it this far in the video, it's likely you've already made up your mind whether or not you're going to be renting a Ryker or Spyder on your next vacation. So this isn't so much of a question to ask yourself as much as it is a tip for you to follow, which is if you rent a Ryker or Spyder on your vacation, just make sure you enjoy it. Plan your trip in a way that allows you to experience more because you have this open air vehicle, because it's a different experience. I'll tell you, riding down this Sunset Strip for the first time, I'd never been down it, just exposed to the elements, just bright lights shining over the dash, lights hitting you directly, you know, it was a little bit of sensory overload, as I said, but at the same time, exhilaration. It was just this kind of feeling that I had never done something like that before and seen what Las Vegas was all about, and getting to experience that as if I was outside of a vehicle and just floating by like a bird soaring low down to the ground was amazing. And it's a blessing because it's not something that we're all able to do all the time, and it's one of those things that if you are in a place that you want to explore, I definitely think a Can-Am Ryker Spyder could be a fun addition to that. And don't take it for granted. Actually use it. Actually say, hey, I'm, in this mountain town and I'm going to rent a Can-Am Spyder and I'm going to go for a mountain run. It's one of the things that personally I love to do when I go to a town in general, not even just with Can-Am Rykers and Spyders. I go, anytime I usually go out to like California per se, we'll go on Turo and I'll rent a cool car like a GTI or a Golf R, or something with a little bit extra power, something fun and interesting, because to me that is one of the most exciting things, is to go somewhere different and to ride an interesting car that fits that area and enjoy those two things together, because I just love motoring and the machines, and that is like a perfect union when you have a awesome car and an awesome place to drive it, or a awesome motorcycle and an awesome place to ride it. So definitely don't take that experience for granted. I sure didn't. I loved this Can-Am Spyder F3 Limited, and this is going to be, unfortunately, my last video with it, but I hope you guys enjoyed it, and really take it in. Enjoy your next experience with a Can-Am Ryker Spyder, whether that's a rented one or the one you keep in your garage and keep clean on a daily basis. Y'all, I'm Three Wheel Khalil. Remember, life's more fun on three wheels. And as a quick update, I did a contest a few videos back when I hit, I think it was 1,500 subscribers, and I was giving out a quad lock phone case system. I had a winner, Ron Cross. He won, and I reached out and we were trying to get everything organized, and turns out that we could not get a kit for his particular phone. So I asked him, hey, would you rather have an Amazon gift card or something like that? And he said, hey, I'd rather skip all of that. To me, as a vet, I would love if you donated that money to the Wounded Warrior Foundation. So that was, to me, first of all, amazingly selfless, and I just wanted to share that with you guys, and also share the link so that you all can possibly do the same if you feel so inclined. So the link for the Wounded Warriors Foundation will be in the description below, and I want to thank Ron Cross for giving me not only that directive, but that idea to share with you all. And if you feel so inclined, the link is below. Anyway, guys, until the next video, I've been Three Wheel Khalil. I'll catch you next time. Peace.